Well, it's been a long time. I hope you guys can hear me. I was working for like an hour, I think, to get this streaming software done. For some reason, I had problems logging into my YouTube account, but it shouldn't matter now. And yeah, I hope that we are gonna gather more people around, of course. I barely have anything prepared. All I want to really do today is, or tonight rather, depending on where you're watching from, just talk a bit about what is going on, about what's happening with Constan, what has happened with Constan. Of course, answer your questions if you have any. So I'm really giving my best to be able to, you know, first of all, know if I'm actually on and you can hear me, and at the same time read the chat so I have my own YouTube video on simultaneously in front of me. But it shouldn't be a big problem. So for those of you who joined or subscribed to Constan years ago since its creation in 2020, I want to say a big thank you for sticking with me for all these years and supporting me. Well, not just watching some videos, but also, you know, writing comments and taking part in the discussion. Sometimes even writing me fan mail to my email account, which I really appreciate. And Khan usually is a channel or place to get informed about Turkic and steppe history in the form of documentaries. And you might have noticed that I have not uploaded any documentary in, well, I think even it's been like more than a year already. The last documentary I uploaded was about the Turks last year, I think in April or May, and the numbers were pretty bad and I stopped. But I had put a lot of effort into these, into these last documentaries. And this is how we come to the reason why you don't really see anything new from me except for some AI video snippets from the movie that I'm also going to talk about. The documentaries just were not worth it because I was putting a lot of effort regarding researching everything, writing the script, of course making the video, which is still for me the hardest part, even though I'm experienced with video editing by now. But it was just a lot of time and effort that went into the making of the videos, and the output I think was good. Like, I really liked the quality even myself, and usually I don't like what I'm doing. But the problem was that I got too little views and too few, like not enough new subscribers, and basically like the analytics went like this over time, or rather like shoo. So this means that I put so much effort or more effort than before, but I got back less than before. And since this is of course not my main job, so I don't know if any one of you cares, but I'm actually a teacher in real life. And this is like my second job, but of course it's a hobby. But investing so much time and effort into a hobby, sooner or later you also want to get something back, you know? And this includes revenue. And it got worse. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna try something new maybe. And that's when I started experimenting, actually 2 years ago, with artificial intelligence and with the AI technology of creating images and videos. And I know many of you didn't like it back in the day. I understand why. You just wanted to get new content and not maybe see the old content recycled in a new look. But I think I wasn't really doing to show off. I was doing it for myself. And now we've reached a point where I'm actually able, or, you know, not just me, but many people, we're able to basically what's been going on in our head and how we see and imagine things. We're able to reproduce them by using AI in a way that, for example, I currently can make a movie or movie-like video, 60 minutes long, about the Göktürk Empire. And I don't even need a movie studio. And so this was going on behind the scenes. But still, I thought, you guys want to see content. You want to see more about Turkic, maybe steppe history. And yeah, I just didn't have the muse. I just didn't want to, you know, I just didn't want to sit on a computer for too long and do it. But then again, of course, I could have done something different, do something like this currently. And I'm a teacher. I teach political education And I also teach German, but I don't know, I guess that's not so important for the students. But political education, and I also try to put a little bit of history every now and then into the classes. And that's when I got the idea, wait a minute, why don't I just sit in front of the camera right now and talk about history? And I do this maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, maybe even every day. And if you guys like it, and if you guys like to interact with me, then we can do this very often. So it'd also be a way to step up the can't stand game. And it wouldn't cost a lot of effort, because if there's one thing I'm really good at, then I guess it's talking, and it's talking about history, and it's storytelling. So yeah, and that's where can't stand is currently. So there's a movie in the making. There are no video documentaries coming out. I don't have any planned. But on the other hand, I also want to keep it historical, and I'm thinking of, or I've been thinking of for a longer time, creating some sort of course, which like in this, not live stream necessarily, but like videos where I explain a certain topic and also provide the information, the sources and such to you guys, so you can download it, read it, do whatever you want with it. So that's also in the making. But for now, I just wanted to show myself to you and say big hello from wherever you're watching. So some of you even from Alaska, which is awesome. For those of you wondering, I'm also gonna keep it in English, because unlike like on Instagram or Twitter, most of my subscribers here, fans, are, I can see from the analytics, they're not from Turkey or speak Turkish necessarily. So let's keep it in English as the, well, the language that connects most of us, or should connect all of us. But of course, I also have some stuff to show to you. So while we're still gathering, I like to, for example, show one scene which I uploaded today, I think, at noon. And I just need to figure out how to... Ah, there it is. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound. I'm just gonna play. I hope you can hear it. Okay, let's make this a bit bigger. So this is a scene from my movie. It's final scene, except for the appearance of Bumin. This guy is not Bumin, obviously. Unfortunately, he didn't get to be this old in real life. But this is a shaman, or a Khan, in Old Turkic. And Bumin is in his yurt, and he's seeking for advice. And he's gonna make a big decision. It's about, should he, as the leader of the Ashina Turks, be rebel against Anagui Khan of the Ruran Khaganate? So should he really take the step of risking a big catastrophe, even risking the downfall of his own people, by trying to liberate his people? So he appears in the yurt, and it's just a very short clip, but I actually had it in original English, and I dubbed it into Turkish and German. Just take a look. So I fear that you guys did not necessarily hear what was said. No, okay, unfortunately. But it's not a problem. It's a problem on my part, so sorry. I apologize. But I'm gonna upload some of it on YouTube soon. If you want to see these kinds of clips, you can just go to my Instagram account. I'm not a big fan of Instagram actually, but it's a really nice way to promote yourself with videos and photos and such. So don't expect any modeling photos from me. I don't do that, but what I actually do is publish clips like them. So if you're interested, you can go to my site, and there you can also watch some other clips. I try to mix clips from this project with other normal historical content. Like, for example, a few days ago, I stumbled upon this page, which is depicting how an Indian, well, lesser king was captured and brought to Mahmud of Ghazni in Afghanistan. I'm sure some of you, many of you have heard of him. A very, really important Turkish ruler. And then I thought, hey, why don't I just share some of it with my followers? So that's what I also do. But yeah, so there's lots of things going on. The big issue with making such a movie is, even if I do it by myself, is that it's quite costly. So I'm really bad at advertising for myself. Like I never go around people when I meet new people, friends, whatever, and say, hey, look, I'm the guy from Can't Stand, that's me. Look at what I did, my portfolio. I think it's a bit embarrassing. But many people also say I should do it more. I think maybe tonight is the right time to just do it once. First and last time, I think. And you can help me complete this movie faster in the quality that you just saw, and I'm going to show you some more clips, by going to the GoFundMe fundraiser. The link is a bit, I don't know, it's a bit difficult to link it here, but basically if you just write this line on Google, Boomin's Destiny, that was supposed to be the original movie title, then you would find it. And if you care, I'd really be happy about your donation, but you don't have to, of course. It's already great that you're here with me and even watching this stuff with me. So yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just reading the chat. Hello, back to Istanbul, merhaba. Also, hello to nearby Stuttgart, guten Abend. One of you is asking, did you ever contact Alper Çağlar, since he's about to release the Göktürk film at the end of the year? Actually, I did not contact him. He contacted me on Twitter last December, I think. I was just posting some stuff about the movie, just some screenshots, I think, and he appeared out of nowhere. Like I was walking, I think, from the grocery store. I was walking back home. It was already pretty dark. It was snowing. Then I got a notification on my phone, and it said Alper Çağlar responded to a tweet. Is that really? Is it really him? Yeah, I checked them. And then I opened the tweet, and it really was him. And he wrote a really nice, like, big, long text about not giving up and staying strong no matter what happens, and that I think he just wanted to say, I understand how you feel sometimes as a creator and all the struggles that you have behind the scenes, which other people never see. They just expect things to come fast and quick and good. So yeah, so I did have contact with him. I thanked him, and Alper Çağlar, for those of you who don't know, he's making a real Göktürk movie with his film studio. I mean, we've been waiting for a long time, but I think he's about to release it. And he's the guy who actually inspired me to do anything about Turkic history, about Göktürks and Great Khan Sten. So I really appreciate him in general. Will this movie be good? I'm sure it will be, I hope. There are some things that I saw that I do not agree with at all. Like, if it wasn't just some behind the scenes outtake video, I really hope that there's not a literal Colosseum-like structure in the middle of Central Asia in his movie. I don't know what that is about. Other than that, he's a talented filmmaker. I hope the best for him. And I think the more people watch his movie, or my movie also, the better. And this is very Turkey specific. We both want to raise awareness of old Turkic history and culture. And he does it in a different way, but I'm still glad that he's doing anything. So yeah, so much about him. Yeah, again, thanks for joining, everybody. We are gathering more people. I'm not used to doing this, by the way, so I know how to handle technology, but I'm not good at live streaming. I'm actually doing this through my iPhone because it has much better video quality than my stupid old Logitech webcam. Yeah. Emir also says the clothes of the Turks look like TRT Selçuklu clothing. If you mean like, I don't know, do you mean like here? Maybe in the Alpa Chawla video, but I don't think that he did that. But I know what you mean. I'll just let this play. There's a big issue in Turkish filmmaking, or regarding Turkish films and TV series, that finally have started to conceptualize and actually make anything about Turkish history before the Ottoman Empire. And took a long time for it to happen, but many people were glad about that. But the way that they started to depict, especially the Seljuk Turks, was, I would personally say, embarrassing and insulting, because they depicted them with mostly very dark clothing. Now, you might maybe say, yeah, well, who cares, black or white? Well, of course, it's a big difference. Not because usually those in a movie with dark colored clothing are supposed to be the bad guys, and if those with, like white colored clothing are supposed to be the good guys, not because of that, but Turks didn't wear dark colored clothing. And I don't mean in a diversity woke way or anything, but their clothing, their apparel back in the day throughout many different Turkic groups was very, how do you say it? Well, diverse. You had many colors, but bright colors. Blue and green, red also, like depicted here in the video. So I agree with Emil. I don't like that at all either. Yes, something that exists. R5P asks if I could make a documentary about the Khitan or the Shenbei. And I agree with you. Yeah, they are intriguing. Problem is that I don't make any, I said in the beginning of the stream, I don't make any documentary videos anymore. What I would like to do instead is, again, what we're doing currently, but like in video form. Yeah, I would like to talk about them. I actually have a long list of topics that I want to talk about, just like this. But I'm also going to include like PDF files and books and personal summaries. So maybe like in the near future, I would just talk about the Khitan, and I would also upload stuff that you can download and read for yourself if you want to do further research. So that I can do. But like video documenting like in the past, nah, that's not worth it. Not for me anymore. I've been doing it for too long. Well then, let's see. Maybe I can show something different, just so that, and I know the audio, I guess, cannot be played currently, or you don't hear anything. But just so you get a sense of really how high quality the visuals are in this movie. I really think that AI technology has gotten very far, maybe even a bit too far. Like it's a bit scary, I admit. But as long as it's there, I at least want to use it for something good. And that's explaining history through the lens of a movie. Yeah, then just not making use of it, obviously. And it's really funny. You can do not anything, but you can do many things. So if you could hear this, then you would actually hear them talk in Japanese. And I actually checked this with an acquaintance of mine who's Japanese, and he said, aside like from one little mistake in the dubbing, it was perfect. It was natural. I was really amazed. So it's really crazy. For the movie itself, of course, I wouldn't do that. That would be too complicated. I'm just gonna publish one version, and then on YouTube for free. Like nowadays with many videos, you can choose your audio track. Then you can choose to listen to it in English or Turkish or German, other languages. Yeah, so that's the plan. Yeah, someone, Irish Qatari, is asking what happened to you. Man, that's a really good question. I don't know if you guys care about personal stuff from me, but I've been having a really rough time. It's not regarding can't stand necessarily, but it's also a factor. Like, I wasn't really sure which way to go, but yeah. It's been pretty rough in total. But rest assured that I'm very dedicated and ambitious. I just don't show it most of the time, but now I think it's about time that I show myself. And I also show what I do, usually. And of course, I should also show other scenes, maybe from the movie. Like this one that I should have published recently, I think. Yeah, I did. On social media, somewhere. Maybe not on YouTube. And I know maybe what I can guess what some of you are thinking. Like, do the altar mounts look even this good? So yeah. You know, so what you can see, well, what you can see here on this side, this is what I had in mind when I made my first videos 6 years ago. I know it sounds funny, but I thought like, man, I wish I had the technology and the team to really give like these, I mean, real life, high quality video shots and do everything my way. And I couldn't, of course. And back then, you didn't have this AI thing at all. And it was even difficult to find any depictions of, let's say, ancient Turks from some sort of history book of the Soviet Union in 1979. That was really impossible. And since then, I mean, it's become much easier to find these things. And now it's become not easy, but possible to depict the Altai Mountains in a way that you will understand, even if you didn't go there. Ah, yeah, that's why the Göktürks used to live there. It makes sense. This scene I also really like. You can here see that it has this AI-generated logo. I will have some sort of, I mean, like something like this also in the video, so don't worry. Will I have a scene like this in the movie? Because we just said, yeah, it's about the Göktürks, and I'm a historian, and this is a history channel. So will this being appear? I will leave that open. Let's just say that you cannot tell the story of the Türk Khaganate without also explaining the myths, while trying to be somewhat realistic. So yeah, just let yourself be surprised. All right, sorry I already talked too much, so I'm gonna go through the chat a bit and answer your questions. Thank you also, Thales, thank you. Yeah, someone is asking, where are you from? Well, I'm a, how should I put this? So, born in Germany, son to Turkish parents. So I'm like a Turk living in Germany. I really like super nice cliche. I'm not gonna talk in any languages other than English. I said in the beginning, but no, I don't have any accent. Also, I don't like döner. I actually know many Turks who also don't like döner because there's much better Turkish food actually, which is more cultivated in Turkey than in Germany or Europe maybe. And yeah, and again, I'm a teacher and I didn't want to become a teacher initially. I wanted to become a political scientist. So I graduated in political science and history. And, you know, while I was doing something, I was working on something like this as my main job, I wanted to, well, be assigned or like a researcher at university. And I wanted to, well, become a PhD candidate and obtain my PhD title. But this was in February 2020. And you guys know what hit the world back then, right? And when that pandemic hit us, nothing worked, like at the universities all over the globe, of course. I had like, I should actually talk about this guy now. This is a really good opportunity. There was a professor who I had picked basically him and the topics that he likes to teach about in his department of the institute and that local university I went through. And my master's thesis was like, I got a grade A, like superb. He really liked it. Now, he was known to be a dictator to many other students. For some reason, I never had a problem with it. And I was writing actually about the future of the Turkish Republic between the United States on the one side and Russia on the other side. So it was very controversial. And this was in 2019, late 2019. And I thought like, man, like some of the stuff that I'm writing there, he's gonna rip my paper apart while reading it. But he gave me the best grade. And I didn't expect that. And then I thought, well, that's great. Then I should try become a professor. But first of all, try becoming a, like a researcher at the university. But it didn't work, not just because the pandemic hit, but also because I had picked a certain topic and then he wanted me to change it. Then I said, okay, well then I have to prepare my stuff for the next topic or for this new topic. I'm going to need a while. And then I had prepared it, sent it to him, and he said, no, I don't like this topic. Maybe take this one. And it went on and on and on like this. And I said, well, excuse my French. I thought to myself, or to him, screw yourself. I'm just going to quit. And it took like a whole year, I think, until I really gave up. But this professor also was like, he had 6 or 7, like not the professor, but a university at the same department of political science. We had 6 or 7 more candidates. All of us, we had graduated, like friends. And we had different, like we had the same ambitions, but different topics. And they took none of us. We wanted to become PhD candidates. They said no. Instead, they took in some guys from abroad, from United States and India and I don't know where. Great for them, but for us it sucked. So I was thinking, what am I supposed to do now? And, I need to get a real job now, or like a full-time job. And at that time, I was putting like the frustration I had into constant. And I was thinking, I have this pent up energy and not aggression, but frustration. I have to do something with it. And I invested it into constant. So actually, I have to thank that stupid professor because he really made me angry enough that I put a lot of time into something that I really love. And no, I'm not gonna actually I'm gonna show off because I know the numbers of the books that he's selling and I know the numbers of the books that I'm selling, and I didn't need him in the end at all. I just think it's a shame because I wanted to become a researcher at university and give lessons. And I did something else. I worked in the electronics field, then social media, then video production, which is fitting because I was doing video production anyway. And then I thought, did I really study political science for this? And I found a job opening and applied for it, and I became a teacher a few years ago. So that's my story. And it's become like full circle because I think now I'm doing what I was supposed to do from the beginning, but which I didn't want to do when I was back in school because I hated school. And I thought like the teachers, they're like, not really, they don't really care about me or my well-being. But now that I'm a teacher and I learned the art of storytelling through this Can't Stand also, you will see in the movie. And I'm writing on novels, I'm writing blogs and stuff. And sometimes friends and colleagues want to know, what this is about. And I think I'm really good at explaining it in a way that everyone can understand. Not really like, but understand and accept. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So I should have become have my doctorate completed by now, but didn't. I should have a PhD in political science, but instead I'm a political teacher, which is also fine. And the good thing is I don't have to spend my time around sometimes very arrogant people at university. Instead, I have my students, which are younger than me, but I feel like I have a good connection to them, and I'd much rather spend my time with them anyway. So it all worked out in the end. Yeah. That's also what I want to do, or what I'm doing while taking care of this stuff. I'm also writing on a new book, and it's gonna be the last thing after the movie. It will be this book about the second Göktürk Empire of Bilge Khan and Kutluk Eltadeş and so on. And after that, like, Göktürk over. That's the last thing I'm gonna do about the Göktürks. And I also learned from my mistakes in that I made writing the previous books. I really learned a lot, actually, and you will see. And I hope that you will find this new book, maybe not at the end of this year, but next year, at the beginning of next year. I really hope that you will see it in the bookshelf wherever you live, because I don't want to publish it or self-publish it by Amazon anymore. I want real publishers to take the book and, well, sell it for me. So yeah, that's maybe my biggest ambition. I think that could be more difficult than just making the movie. Yeah, Lewis, and also I remember you, Lewis. Thank you so much for your support over the years. Says you can actually make some of a difference for the better in your pupils. Yeah, I agree, absolutely, and that's also what I'm like. That's my mindset. Like, I think to myself, I didn't like school back in the day, and I know that many of them sitting here, they don't really want to know what I'm telling them, not necessarily. So I should explain in a way that is somewhat interesting to them and understandable. And every now and then I will also tell them like guys, I know, like, I'm also looking at the watch. It's like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It's like hot 35 degrees outside. You had a 9-hour day. I had a 9-hour day. I also want to go home. Let's just do this, and then maybe we can enter class 10 minutes earlier. So not a secret of mine, but yeah, that's just my mentality. And I also know that you guys want to hear a lot more about history, about content. And Emil, you're asking the right question. What comes after the Göktürks? After the Göktürks come these people, the Uyghurs, the Kyrgyz, the Karahanits, the Volga Bulgars, the Bulgars again, which I had made a controversial video about them, but never mind, we will talk about them again. The Hazars, of course, which I don't know if you know, but it might maybe be my most famous or my most successful video, or among my most successful videos. So we will talk about these Turkic peoples, but also other peoples of the steppe, like the Shembei, which one of you had mentioned before, and also the Hitan, which I never really explained at all. I think they appeared in one of my videos, maybe just very shortly. So that's gonna be next. This is the video about the Hazars, and oh, well, it's not bad. It's 496k views, which is really nice. There's one. No, wait a minute, not the shorts. Yeah, this is my most popular, yeah. I had made one video about the Hazar Empire 3 years ago, and then I remade it with more better information and, you know, trying to be more objective also. But yeah, these topics I will also handle like in videos like we do currently. But there's of course more. Like, what about the Seljuk Empire? I wanted to talk about the Seljuks for such a long time. I never did it. And I don't regret a lot of things when it comes to Khan Sen, but this I actually regret. Or what about the steppe? What about the Scythians in Europe? What about the Himerians? What about the pre-Turkic, pre-Mongol steppe people of Central Asia? What about the peoples who were not steppe people themselves, but in constant interaction with them, like the Sogdians? Which brings me to another topic I want to talk about with you today. And I know this is a YouTube video channel, so you're here for videos, right? But I'm sure you also like to read every now and then. I actually have started a Substack blog a while ago, and there I also handle some of these topics that I never got to show in video form. So I really put a lot of effort into these topics. And I also include, well, you know, it's not a video, but I try to upkeep the tension by using as many images, maps, and so on as I can. And this is, for example, about the Turkish-Korean friendship or brotherhood, how it developed. And most of the time, or all of the time, I also include sources for your further reading. So if you're interested, if you want to read some stuff from me, Most of these articles are for free. I only have some articles that are paywalled to, well, keep up the, how do you say it? Not the revenue, because I have a really dear friend of mine who subscribed, but she's the only paying subscriber anyway. But there's something in the algorithm that if you make everything for free, then your Substack will not be pushed as much. So that's the reason. But most of the stuff you can read for free. The URL is actually rather simple. I really don't know how to make this one bigger, but there maybe you can see. So it's khanstan.substack.com. I'll just go to Khanstan, go to Google, type in Khanstan Substack, you will find it immediately. So I'm also doing that. There's another thing that I've been working on for 12 years, actually. I've talked about it on YouTube, and I uploaded some preview for it, which was, I don't know, it wasn't the best quality, so I won't do it again until it's finished. But I'm actually working on a novel about a semi-historical, semi-fantasy novel about Turkish history around 800 or 900 AD. And this novel I started in 2014 when my then, now ex, but my then girlfriend said to me, you know, I've really liked Turkish history so much, and you want to talk about it, write something about it. And I said, well, you know, and I had just started studying history and politics, and I said, but I know how people think, like they're bored by history books most of the time. And then she suggested, why don't you make a novel out of it? And I thought, yeah. I thought about it and said, yeah, that's a good idea. And to this day, I'm very grateful that she made me do it. I started, and and then I stopped. Then I started again. Then I stopped, and it was like a really like I was going very, very slowly, like from like taking very small steps, very slowly, deliberately though. And now I'm actually at a point where I could release large parts of the story. It's just not finished completely, so I'm taking it, you know, like I'm not making it public yet, but it should have around 1,000 pages actually. And yeah, so that's also coming. And I'm really proud of that. That's the thing I'm most proud of, because all of the improvements that I made over the past years, they all went into this novel as well. So yeah, hopefully you will also enjoy it, but it's gonna take a while. I will update you. I'll give you an update when it's ready. Okay, let me just quickly take a sip of water. Yeah, let me just actually, I forgot that I can also write into the chat. So I will just write the link to the Substack blog and you can just click on it or something. That's it. Again, you can subscribe to it. Subscribing on Substack means, like on YouTube, you basically get notified something is being uploaded and published, but it's for free. You don't have to pay. If you want to pay, you can. Again, if you want to really support me currently, then you can go to the fundraiser that I open on GoFundMe to really get this video done, get this movie done finally. And it's yeah, and I've had some really nice and larger donations, which I'm really glad about. I'm grateful for all of them. Rest assured, all of this money is being used to make that movie and make it faster. Because of my job, I also have limited time, but I also have limited money. So yeah, but don't worry, it's the last time I'm gonna talk about it today again. For those who support, thank you very much. Yeah, Amy also suggests that maybe talking about the Turkish, I would say, beyliks of Anatolia, that's a sound idea. I had actually made a video about them a few years ago, I think, during the pandemic. And I am going to talk about them because they're more beyliks than like the typical, you know, like Atukit, Karamanid, Saruhan, of course, Osmanlılar, so Ottoman. They are much more Beyliks and they really deserve the attention, but expect that on Substack. So I will publish some articles about them, but on Substack. Okay. If you guys have any questions, just personal questions, can't stand, historical, just send them. I will try to answer them as best as I can. I can maybe show something else from the movie. It's a shame that I cannot share the audio of these clips, but again, if you follow me on Instagram, you can find them all. Everything I'm showing here is also available on Instagram, and there you can watch it as many times as you can or want. And you can see from the lip syncing that it's in English. So English is the main language of the movie, but again, it will be dubbed into Turkish, German, and I guess also some other languages when I have the time. And you can just, when the movie is out, you can just choose the audio track and then watch it in your preferred language. Yeah, it's no problem copy pasting something that exists, but I have to admit that I'm not knowledgeable about when it comes to the Kalmyks, so I'm really not sure. I'm not sure. That's why I prefer to refrain answering. Irish Qatari has a question about the Ashina clan. The Dragon Cave near North Korea is where I heard the Ashina clan originally came from. Is this true or not? Nah. No. No. That's not true. The origin of the Ashina clan, maybe I can show you on map or something. I really don't like using Google Maps, but that's what we have to go with right now. Okay. So. You just saw a few bookmarks that where I well, some stuff, places that I bookmark for the vacation in Turkey I had a few weeks ago. So I just came back from vacation actually, which might maybe explain my appearance. So the Ashina, the Göktürk Ashina clan, most people think they are from the Altai Mountains, right? And that's not wrong, but it depends on what period you're looking at. So when it comes to Göktürks and the center of the Göktürk political power, it wasn't really in Ötüken, that sacred forest somewhere in Mongolia, but it was at the Altai Mountains. And in the Altai Mountains, the Ashina Turks spent most of their time until their demise. But it's true, their real origin before they arrived at the Altai Mountains was somewhere else. Now, according to Chinese sources, they supposedly lived in Gansu. Gansu is in, I don't know, I think it doesn't count. No, I think it's not part of Inner Mongolia, but I'm not really sure. But it's at the vicinity, for sure, to Inner Mongolia and modern day China, and that's here. That's on the vicinity to the Gobi Desert to the west and, well, to the steppe in the north. And it goes like this. The ancestors of the Ashina Turks used to live for an undisclosed period of time in Gansu, and in around 436 or 439, the Northern Wei, which was a newly created established dynasty in northern China, wanted to conquer this place, this region, in order to unite all of northern China under one banner. And the thing is, if the Ashina Turks lived in Gansu, well, did they live under Chinese subjugation or under their own rule? And the answer is something different. They lived under Hannik rule, so under Xiongnu rule. Because if you, and I'm sorry, the map wasn't open fully, but if you look at the map in detail, like if we had like the historical map from back in the day, from the 4th, 5th century, well then most of this part Inner Mongolia and parts of, well, mainland China were under non-Chinese Hannic or post-Xiongnu rule. So this was after the Xiongnu Emperor had splintered. And Xiongnu remnants still existed here. The Xianbei, for example, which had also splintered by then, they were more to the northeast. And also in, well, modern-day Mongolia, but more to the northeast. And here in Gansu, there used to be a very special dynasty. Let me reminiscence. I think it was the Northern Liang. Yeah, Northern Liang. They were Sinicized to a certain extent, but they still maintained their non-Chinese Hannic steppe culture. And they were attacked by Northern Wei, and they lost. And what happened? The rulers of the Liang, they fled. Where? Well, to the Altai Mountains. At the same time, these same Chinese sources also speak about the Ashina separately, leaving the same region at the same time, also going to the Altai Mountains. And there's also the myth of Asina, so the creation legend of the Ashina clan, or the Asina clan. I mean, Asina would be the original Turkic term anyway. And there, the Chinese say, oh yeah, they used to live in Gansu, or like their ancestors used to live in Gansu, and one day the village was attacked, and everyone was killed except for one boy. That boy survived, but he was badly injured, and suddenly a she-wolf appeared and fed him and nurtured him and saved him. And then, you know, he grew up suddenly in a very short amount of time for some reason, and then, well, the two did something which I'm not going to mention in the stream, and the wolf got pregnant by this now adult man. The wolf would, you know, bear 10 sons, but not there, because suddenly the Chinese attackers, they noticed that, oh, there had been a survivor in this village, and they really wanted to eradicate all of these people. So also this one last survivor. And I guess he couldn't flee anymore, but the wolf could. So Asina fled to the north. And she didn't arrive at the Altai Mountains, she arrived in Turpan, or in Turkish Turfan. And there she, you know, you can see this mountain range, right? And there Asina gave birth to 10 sons who were apparently half wolf, half children, and half wolf, half human. They also grew up very fast. One of them forged a hammer. He destroyed part of the mountain so they could escape. I don't know if they were supposed to be big giants, maybe, because why did they have to destroy part of the mountain to escape? If they already got in without destroying anything, but he did, so they left the area, and now 9 of these 10 sons went into different directions. And that's supposed to explain why there's so many Turkic peoples, like the Tiele, for example, also came from that place, or the Uyghurs, and so on. The 10th son stayed with the wolf. And then, for some reason, the wolf and the son went to the Altai Mountains. And he said, I want to create my own dynasty, my own clan, my own tribe here. And indeed, in 460 AD, the Ashina are first mentioned in the Altai because they are being subjugated by the Ruran, who are supposed to rule over that place. They see newcomers here, and they say, well, great, but we want you to be beneath us, so we want to vassalize you. You know, you have to become our subjects now, right? I guess the Ashina said no, so they were attacked, they were defeated, and since then, the Ashina Turks were vassals of the Ruran. That's the main story. And to go back to that question, did they maybe originate from Korea even? And the answer is no, but because there's no implication for that at all. But there's a line in, I think, the book of Sui, the book of the Sui dynasty, the Chinese Sui dynasty, which mentions that the Göktürks every April, so at each April, went to a cave around 250 miles east of their homeland, so east of the Altai Mountains, which would be maybe like, well, here, right? Somewhere here. I mean, it's gotta be near where Göktürk is supposed to be as well. And they would go to this cave, and this cave was called the Cave of the Ancestors. This line made me think a few years ago, why Cave of the Ancestors? Is that where they come from originally? So it's not Gansu. And if you want to hear my theory is that the Ashina Turks, or their, not them in the configuration, but their ancestors, they were Xiongnu people. Like the Chinese always say the Göktürks were Xiongnu. They're Xiongnu. Xiongnu. So they are Hans, right? They're like, they had to be part or descendant from this Xiongnu Empire. And the Chinese even used the Xiongnu title of Chanyu. You know, like Modu Chanyu. They used this title for the Göktürk rulers. In the beginning, they didn't say Khan, they said Chanyu. And only later they understood that the Turks themselves used the title Khan, and that's when the Chinese also changed it to Khan. So you don't read Bumin Chanyu, you read Bumin Khan. But they used this Xiongnu title. They were so 100% sure that the Ashina Turks are Xiongnu, but on the other hand, other tribes, other Turkic tribes and Mongol tribes, they said they are not Xiongnu. Which make me think they had some sort of evidence really speaking for this. And if the Ashina Turks did descend from the north, so from Mongolia, and if the Cave of the Ancestors is supposed to be like here somewhere in central Mongolia, that's also where the Xiongnu used to live. So it's very likely to me that that's also where the Ashina Turks come from. I know it's not the best interesting theory maybe. It's a bit like, they come from the steppe, wow. I mean, it would be cool if they came from Korea for some reason, but there's no implication or no evidence for that at all. So whoever said that, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. Even if it sounds interesting, it's too far away from what we have at hand. Yeah, so about the sons of Asena, so like which are the sons? Like, yeah, you're already counting Mudok Tora, if I read it correctly. Kipchaks, Oğuz, Karluk, Kyrgyz, Salus, Uyghurs, not the Onogos, but some other Turkic peoples, which I don't have them in mind right now, but in the Chinese sources they mention like some, I have to think, but like some really smaller obscure tribes like the Az, for example. Az, A-Z. It used to be an ancient Turkic tribe, but they sort of vanished. So they are mentioned as one of the 10 sons. Yeah, but yeah, why did the Chinese do this anyway? They tried to explain why there are so many people speaking the same language, but in different regions and different states and so on. And I guess they heard of the Asena origin story, and then they added some stuff in, and now it's wonderful. They can explain everything in this nice mythical story. That's the idea behind it, I think. The Dingling, which Emir is mentioning, the Dingling were also an ancient Turkic tribal confederation, which interestingly disappears right when the Tiele get mentioned. I think it's likely that the Dingling were the predecessors of the Tiele. In the Chinese source, I know that one of the 10 sons is supposed to have created the Tiele. So, yeah, but Tiele or Dingling, they are more or less probably the same. It's interesting when you, let me just take a look here in Google Maps. It's actually interesting when you want to know more about these Turkic tribes west to the Altai, like the Dingling and Tiele. It's interesting to me that the Tiele, for example, are supposed to consist of 40 different tribes, and one of those tribes are the Alans. Alan, the Alans. Well, for those of you who know, the Alans are supposed to have lived here, at the coast to the Caspian Sea, or the Hazar Sea, as it's called locally. But the Tiele, they were more active in like modern-day Eastern Kazakhstan. So if their confederation was really that far, that the Alans were also like part of it, it would mean like, it would really mean that the Tiele were not just some obscure tribe being there, sitting around, doing nothing, but that they ruled at least, you know, a large swath of the Western Central Asian steppe. But when you go to like places like Wikipedia, you will find this information, and then they will start saying, well, yeah, but it's impossible. Like, why should the Alans have been part of a Turkic group? And that's what they say. I'm not saying that it is true what the Chinese are writing, but sometimes I'm really thinking to myself, why would they include such obscure information? I mean, are they just doing it for fun? They knew who the Alans were. I mean, they also know who the Romans were and so on, right? Why would they just include this one tribe there if they knew that, for example, they're speaking different languages? It's possible that this group, the Alans, which were not Turkic, certainly, that they were simply part of this confederation, or that they were ruled by the Turkic component. But again, Chinese sources don't explain everything in detail, so who knows? Okay, this is a very interesting topic. It's about my man, my guy. I'm trying to be unbiased, right? But there's a favorite ruler that I have actually in Göktürk history. And I will show a portrait that I made of him to you. If I can find that son of a gun. Yes. I'm gonna show it to you. It's about İstemi. İstemi Khan, or İstemi Yapgu rather. Oh, now I can find him. But I will find him, don't worry. Bumin, the founder of the Göktürk Empire and the man who I'm bringing to you, or who I'm showing to you in detail in the movie, Bumin had a younger brother. Nobody really knows how young İstemi was, but maybe like 10, 15 years younger or something. And he was called İstemi. And İstemi took over the western part of the empire. So like, you know, here on Google Maps, like this part basically, everything west of the Altai Mountains was given to İstemi in 552. Now 552 is the year when Bumin founded the empire, but he also died. Why? How? Wait for the movie. Maybe you will get an answer. Maybe. And İstemi, as his younger brother, took over the western part, and the eastern part was taken over by Bumin's oldest son at that time. He was called Kara, or became Isık Khan. And İstemi was always my favorite also, so I have to agree with Irish Qatari, because İstemi, I'm still trying to find the damn portrait that I made of him. He conquered, like, he doubled the size of the Göktürk Empire within like a few years. He started out here in the Altai Mountains. Here. And he actually arrived here a few years later. He didn't conquer all of this, by the way. But he did conquer the Hephthalites, or the so-called White Hans that you should know about, destroyed them in alliance with certain King Khosrow from Iran, the Sasanian Persian king, and they basically partitioned the Hephthalite Empire. But İstemi didn't have enough, I guess, and one night, or one day, he suddenly arrived in Gurgan, the province Gurgan, which is like here to the north of Iran, actually. And this is a true story. And Khosrow was in a panic, and he was saying, what? Like, wait a minute. I just, like, they were in contact, obviously, but I think they never directly saw each other. And Khosrow thought to himself, well, we conquered together the Hephthalites, but we also said we're going to partition the Hephthalite Empire, and we will have a common border around the Sirdarya, also known as the Oxus, so around here. And that's also the modern border, by the way, between Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. And this nice city here, Bukhara, this nice city, Bukhara, You can have it. It's like the capital or one of the bigger cities of the Sogdians, the merchant people. You can have that, but I want everything west and south of it. So everything that is bordering to my empire, and this would be basically this part. They had a non-aggression agreement, and for some reason Istemi maybe he just wanted to say hi. Who knows? And suddenly he arrived here in Golgan with an army. And Hosolau got wind of it. Now, you have to imagine, I guess he was either in his residence, well, it wasn't Persepolis anymore, but, damn it, I forgot actually. It's embarrassing, but the then capital of the Sasanian Empire, or maybe he was in Mashhad, which was also a big city back then. He immediately, in the night, broke out with an army of his own, small dispatch to Gorgan, and there they actually met. They could have fought, but they didn't. Hosolau didn't want to actually, and he met Istemi for the first time, I think, there, but they met. And Hosolau said, look, welcome to my country. Why don't you just take some of the gifts that I have? Take some of my gifts. And I guess they had a banquet, and the sources are not clear on that. It just kind of abruptly stops, but it's clear that Istemi then left the area. He left Gorgan. So he basically, here on the map, he left again for Bukhara. Bukhara then became some sort of center for his Western Turkic Khaganate, for his part. And from then on, Hosolau and Istemi continued to live in peace side by side. It's just an interesting story because I was thinking to myself years ago, I thought like, why did Istemi do that? I mean, he just destroyed the Hephthalites and then he wants to attack Iran or something? Or was he just looking for adventure? Or was there something else? But he did do it. So if we want to be really technically correct, this is the, look, this green swath of land. This is the farthest the Göktürks ever came. They didn't conquer the area, of course, right? There was no fighting. But they arrived there with an army. And then they left. So yeah, it's like one of those 1,000 stories that I have actually that are not that well known, that you have to dig really deep in the sources to even hear about it. But I still wanted to share it with you. For me, it's a really funny story, I have to say. Something that exists wants to know something about, well, he wants to know something about the Chatur. And I can actually show you some stuff about the Chatur if I can find it on in my folder. I actually prepared a video about the Chatur. It was supposed to be the next documentary, but then I decided to stop. I actually have some stuff about them. Let me just quickly take a look. Side serious step secrets. Oh no. It's really not it. To make it short, the Chateau were so we have to go or skip a bit of time in the timeline, the chronology, and we were just at like here with the Göktürks. Now we have to skip a little bit and go to the year 745. In 745, the second Göktürk Empire of Bilge Khan is being overthrown by none other than the Uyghurs and a coalition of Uyghurs with some other Turkic people like the Basmas, and of course the Chinese Tang Empire. And the Göktürks lose for the final time, for the second and final time. And they flee. Like the Khazar Empire, for example. Like, here on Google Maps, this sea, the Caspian Sea, is called Khazar Sea, like Khazar Denizi in Turkish also. But also in the Iranian language, I know, in the Persian language. Because the Khazars arrived here in parts of modern-day Ukraine and Russia and founded their own Khaganate and became very wealthy, well, healthy also, but very wealthy, powerful. The elite, maybe, perhaps, likely, converted to Judaism for whatever reason. That the other people of the empire also convert to Judaism. Well, who knows? It's a controversial topic. But they were actually Ashina Turks who founded the empire. And the Göktürks, the Ashina, they basically left all of their original homeland, so there were no Ashina Turks here anymore, except if they had been assimilated by the Chinese. What happened was that the Uyghurs took over, more or less over the same land as the Göktürks had ruled. But there were other Turkic peoples, and they were not happy with Uyghur rule. And some of them, like the Xianbei had done centuries before, they settled in this area. So it's really coming full circle today, but we originally started with the questions. And they were Turkic warriors with a very martial culture. And the Chinese said to themselves, great, they're living on our border. They don't want to fight us. They don't want to invade us. They're not strong enough to do anyway, but they are formidable fighters. So how about we ask them to join us? We can give them some land to, you know, so that their cattle have enough grass to eat and whatever. And in turn, they need to fight for us. So what they did was they hired these people, which then become known as Shatur, as warriors, as how do you say, as mercenaries for the Chinese Empire against other Turkic peoples, like for example against the Uyghurs. The Shatur didn't like the Uyghurs. They joined the Chinese, they fought the Uyghurs. They helped the Chinese in part defeat the Uyghurs. So those are the Shatur. But what happened was one of their most capable men actually wanted more. He was a Sinicized Turk, and he wanted more rights, more power, more privileges on the Chinese court. But he was denied, and his father even asked him to stop asking for more and, you know, just be happy with what you have. Well, he basically beat his father and took some of his most loyal men, defeated the other Shatur, then defeated some Chinese, and that's no joke, who were actually from central China, were sent to the north to quell the threat from this guy, and they also lost. And he was also a diplomatic genius, making one fight the other, basically making his enemies fight against each other, and when they were weakened, he attacked them in turn. And he created an own dynasty. And this dynasty in northern China was the first dynasty created by Shatur Turks. What does it mean for you? It means that you should know that before the Mongols invaded China and created their little Mongol dynasties, not just the Yuan dynasty, the Shatur Turks did the same before. So actually when the Mongols arrived in China, in northern China, like there were many of their, let's say, former neighbors and acquaintances and relatives already there. The thing with the Shaturs, they became so assimilated that they became one with Chinese culture over time. It's the same thing that happened to many Mongols later. And before that, what happened to some Uyghurs, to Xianbei, just not to Xiongnu. The only ones that did not let themselves be assimilated were the Xiongnu and the Göktürks. I just find that to be an interesting string. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but it also brings us to the fact that they were probably from one dynasty, from one tribe, from one area, from one region. Like, this is really interesting because the Uyghurs are more in line with the Mongols, in my opinion, than with the other Turks. The Göktürks are truly in line with the Xiongnu. So yeah. But the Shatur Turks, they were Turkic band of warriors, mercenaries, who became too powerful and made their own dynasty, or created their own state. I really wanted to show you something from them. I didn't find them, but I found something else. Maybe you want to see them. Or see him. That's him. This is my new official and final portrait of Bumin Khan. At the time of the Turkic liberation, during the foundation of the Göktürk Empire and his subsequent death, which happened immediately thereafter. And I also have his brother, of course. Istemi Khan. Now, Istemi Khan also having aged. We just talked about Istemi. And Istemi was certainly younger than Bumin, but he lived longer. He ruled from 552 until 576. So it's more than 2 decades. And of course, he had also grown old by that time, but I guess he was more like a middle-aged man, maybe like 45 or 50. And that's my portrait of him. These are the parents of Bumin and Istemi. The man on the right is Tuvu, Ashina Tuvu. He was the Yapgu, so the ruler of the Ashina clan before Bumin took over. And the lady on the left that doesn't have a name, she doesn't have a story, she's never mentioned anywhere. But the mother of Bumin and Istemi, I tried to use and add as many features, facial features as possible, using several AI tools, by the way, and adding my own touch to it. This isn't the upscaled version yet, or the 4K version yet. And this is the result, and I'm really happy with that. There's one guy which I only quickly mentioned, and that's the 10th son of Asena, who did not leave her, but together with her in the story went to the Altai Mounts. He founded the eponymous tribe, I mean the tribe called after him, Ashina or Asena. I know what you're thinking. This portrait doesn't look that historical. It's not supposed to be. I do not want to show Ashina or Asena himself in the movie, but I just want like to give some glimpses. He's like a mythological figure. He probably existed, but we know nothing about him except that he founded the clan at the Altai. And why did I make his eyes blue? Because in some sources, certain Göktürks are being mentioned as having blue eyes, or green eyes, reddish hair. I thought since I'm gonna have this rather mysterious portrait of him, that's the right opportunity to make him blue-eyed. And no, he's not supposed to be Indo-European. Don't worry. What would Ashina have looked like together with the other brothers of the legend? Maybe something like this. Maybe they looked something like this. They for sure didn't have this typical Göktürk hairstyle yet, but the hairstyle of previous Xiongnu people, also sharing some of it with Mongolic people, the Xianbei people. This is Bumin, much younger, maybe at 20 years old. Really ambitious guy. And I know I shouldn't be talking about the movie too much, but the way I'm depicting Bumin is the way that a typical Turkic ruler who really wants the best for his countrymen would be like. He has a good heart. He wants the best for his people, but he's also ruthless, or he's becoming ruthless over time. So there was a video I published on Instagram today, the short scene where Bumin in the movie, and I know in these clips he looks much different than what I'm showing you here. This is basically, so this is the final Bumin. Regarding the facial features and appearance, there's a scene where during the Turkic War of Liberation, or during the preparation of which, Bumin finds out that one of his own men, who's younger than him, was basically bought by Anagui Khan, and he gave him valuable information. This guy conducted treason of the Ashina Turks and told Anagui what the plan of the Turks was, like where they are going to attack militarily, which route they're going to take, and so on. And then Bumin, you know, he's being caught, then he's brought to Bumin in the yurt, and Bumin asks him, so what did Anagui give you for this information? And he says, well, 20 horses. He gave me 20 horses. And Bumin answers, your father's reputation, your father's name was worth much more than 20 horses. And this really encapsulates very well who Bumin is. He does not accept treason or something like that, or illoyalty. He will punish you heavily for that. But if you're doing something that is good for the greater good, if you're doing something from which your people will benefit, then he will appreciate you. He will help you. He will support you. If you need something from him, he will be there. If you betray him, then he's either going to, do something bad to you, or he's going to banish you. And that's typical Turkic or Turkish ruler, but also typical for many other steppe peoples, like Attila in Europe. Even Genghis Khan of the Mongol Empire was very benevolent to those around him, which he saw as being capable and intelligent and strict or disciplined, like for themselves, living a disciplined life. He liked that. He appreciated that. But those who were like lazy little goblins and treasonous and betraying everyone left and right and being opportunistic, he didn't like these people. And if they were on the other side, basically, of the battle, he would punish them very badly. That's a typical steppe ruler, in my opinion. But I don't know how you guys see it. We all have different opinions. Yeah, maybe I can show you one more thing. I would say that's really cute. Of course, Bumin had a wife, obviously. I mean, he had two wives, but the second wife was just for political reasons. And with his first and actual wife, he bore, I mean, they made at least 3 children, Kara, Mukhan, and Taspa. They all became Bumin's successors in the east. And this is how I depict his wife. So here, Bumin is also still young, but a bit older, in his 20s. This is his wife. And I really did my best to model the Göktürks as they most likely look like, regarding facial features, appearance, and so on. By the way, the only reason why it's dark, so when it comes back to Emi's comment about Turks being depicted too dark in Turkish movies, out of all places, the only reason why it's dark is because that's a setting. Like, they have really nice, you can look at them again, really nice, beautiful, blue colored kaftans on. So that's what's going on here. So what's gonna come next? The movie still will take a while, that's for sure. Substack articles, I had taken a break, but I will publish very often, twice a week at least. And these Substack articles are now for free. They really take a lot of time and effort, but I've prepared a lot of things in the past few months, so it shouldn't be a big problem. The novel about Turkish history is continuing. It will take a longer time. The book of Bilge Khan and the Second Göktürk Empire, it's also going to take its time, probably be released at the beginning of next year. YouTube videos are going to be released soon. I just like to have some feedback from you guys. I'm also going to do live streams every now and then. I just like some feedback. If you would like this, like many other YouTubers do it, where I just talk in front of the camera, of course reading a script most likely, about a very specific topic, and every now and then I show some pictures, images, and so on. Nothing fancy, nothing special, but something that I can make fast, just explain a topic. And yeah, if you guys want to see that, then I'm gonna start. I just, want to know if is there some sort of, how do you say it? Well, and you see my English is also breaking slowly, but like, do the people really want to see it? And if I can be sure that at least a few hundred will watch, then I'm gonna upload them. It will be done very quickly, easily. Also, thank you. This is the first donation I get on this live stream by Oha2551. Thank you very much. He asks about Mackinder's Heartland theory. What are your thoughts about Eurasia's role in contemporary politics? I'm not a big fan of that. I would say it's very UK-centered. So I'm not a big fan of that. I understand that historically, especially at the beginning of the 20th century, certain events help. I wouldn't say it has a good fundament, but like they speak for this theory. But overall, it's not something that I would like accept as a truth. It's like a theory, but that's it. Yeah, I don't subscribe to it, really. But I do understand the factor of Eurasia being important in this theory. That I agree with totally. It's just that the Eurasia nowadays, we are getting political, but who cares? You know, we don't have anything to lose, right? Especially in this day and age. Eurasia has been dominated by Russia for very long. And the Central Asian people themselves, they just became independent a few decades ago after a long time of humiliation. And I've been asking myself this question for a long time, like, when are they gonna rise? Do something. I know that they're doing something. The Central Asian, Turkic countries, especially like Kazakhstan, for example. But it also seems that it is very difficult for them to leave behind the Russian/Soviet legacy. I think only after they have accomplished that fully, they will be really free, really independent, really not liberalized, but liberated. Only once they leave this legacy behind, they can look to forward to the future and bring on their ambitions. A big factor that is holding this part, I mean, we're talking about Central Asia now, is holding them back, of course, is ecology, geology, the climate. Like the changing climate has done a lot of damage in Kazakhstan especially, but also Uzbekistan, for example. And it's really unfortunate because it would be difficult for any country in that position to recover. And you also have to keep in mind that they're landlocked, except if you count the Caspian Sea. So yeah, they're in a difficult position. I understand that. But they're Turkic peoples. They should stick together, set aside all of their differences, and really plan out the coming steps, the coming decades, actually. And when they leave the Russians behind, do they want to go to China, make the pivot to China? Do they want to become dependent of them? Do they want to look at the United States? Maybe ask them for more support? I think the best way would be to keep in touch with everyone, of course, but do your own thing. So try to stay independent. And kind of reminds me of how the Turkic people survived back in the day. They were not just tribe by tribe, but they were together in a federation or confederation. I suppose that's the future of the Central Asian republics. I know that's maybe not the question that you just asked, but while we're at the topic, I think that's the way to go. The question, of course, that many have in mind nowadays is, what is Turkey's role here? I think Turkey's role is to finally accept all aspects of their also ancient history, culture, and religion, not to fight not to fight among themselves, among the Turks, regarding the interpretation of this part of history and that ruler and that politician. And they should come to a certain consensus and ask themselves, do we want to become independent from anyone? Or do we want to reconnect with our brethren? And that would be the Central Asian Turkic peoples. And at least try to establish some sort of, at least loosely bound federation with them, or even confederation. I think that would be the way to go. And you don't have to stop all relations with other peoples. You shouldn't, of course. You can't. It's a globalized world anyway, a globalized society. One country cannot live off by itself anyway, but you can choose your allies. And I think that's what Turkey should do. They They have problems. Like the Turks have, well, look, my people, we have problems on our own anyway right now. Economy is really not that good. Political situation is really bad. Let's be totally honest. And apart from that, the people are also degenerating, but they're doing the same in Germany, United States. So it's happening everywhere. The one thing that should be clear, I think, is the cultural aspect, the foreign policy. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I have no right whatsoever to tell Turkish people in Turkey how to live and how to think politically. But if anyone wants to know my opinion, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a nice time or good time to slowly end this live stream, or else it's getting too political. I thank you very much, all of you, for joining today. It was very spontaneous. I had this in my mind like 2 days ago, I think. And then until this afternoon, I wasn't even sure if I would be able to make it, but I have configured everything so that at least you can see me and hear me, and I can read your comments. So thanks again for joining, and please leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, leave a donation, whatever. If you think it's worth what I'm doing, and I'm doing it like on my own, but in a sense, I'm doing it also with you guys and for you guys, and you're there not just to support me, but to support this cause, then by all means, go ahead and show your support. But yeah, thanks for being here with me anyway. And I'll see you hopefully soon on YouTube. I would like to go live on Twitch as well, but I think there you can only do when you play some sort of video game. And I used to play a lot of video games in the past, but yeah, unless like Half-Life 3 is coming out, it's not that interesting to me. So let's stick here on YouTube. And again, if you want to see more from me, aside from what I can post here anyway, go to my Instagram page. I almost upload daily. So thank you very much. Have a good day, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for supporting me all this time, and see you next time. Bye-bye.